Hello and welcome to another episode of What Travis Says. My name is Travis. Let's talk about Doctor Who. More specifically, let's talk about the episode Extremis. Now, the problem with talking about multiple part episodes is that the story isn't actually done yet. With a two-parter, the first episode is a beginning and then a middle conflict, and the second episode is conflict resolution and then the end. But with a three-parter like this, it takes a little bit longer to tell the story. So unfortunately, there's not much that we can delve into without going into the realm of speculating on what could possibly happen next. So let's go over what we do know, shall we? Spoilers for Extremis beyond this point. If you have not watched the episode, you should go do that and then come back to this video. Long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the Doctor is set to execute Missy, but he opts not to execute her, but instead just guard her in a vault for 1,000 years. We learn how it's possible to kill a Time Lord, which is interesting. And then in the here and now, the Doctor is sought out by the Vatican, by the Pope himself, for answers on the Veritas. We find out that whoever reads the Veritas ends up taking their own lives just moments later. Fun. And the Sonic Shades are back, and they make a little more sense this time around. And for those of you that commented on last week's video about how Sonic location is echolocation, really? Really? You didn't think that there'd be some science-y, Time Lordy updates to make Sonic location way better than echolocation? Sonic location is not the same as echolocation, but I digress. The Doctor temporarily gets his eyesight back with unforeseen consequences. We find out that monk alien creatures are practicing taking over the Earth by putting everyone in a simulated environment. But the Doctor's Sonic Shades work a little too well, and he's able to use them to transmit information to the real Doctor to warn him. Oh, and it's finally revealed that Missy is the one that's allegedly in the vault. We get flashbacks to her death, coupled with the present-day simulation, which they don't seem like they go together really well. I mean, the Doctor is speaking to someone in the vault, so it makes sense to show a little bit of the backstory with what happened with Missy, but it just doesn't seem like there's much of a connection between Missy and the simulation yet. He's probably going to ask for Missy's help at some point, but we're just gonna have to watch that play out. That being said, I loved the assassination scenes. They were so well written. But it seems to me that there was some unnecessary complexity when you realize that the first 30 to 40 minutes just didn't really matter because it all took place in a simulation. The actual conflict, the supposed invasion, is probably happening in next week's episode. I mean, the simulation Doctor was able to transmit information to the real Doctor, but that's about it. It was all taking place in a simulation. There were so many twists and turns and revelations in this episode just to find out that it doesn't really matter. It just seems like twists for the sake of twists at this point. Maybe there will be some cyber repercussions because of it, but I doubt it. The only thing I can think of possibly sticking is the device that the Doctor used to get his eyesight back. He said that could affect his future regeneration. He says maybe they'll all be blind, or maybe he'll never be able to regenerate again, but that's the simulation Doctor talking. Will this even affect the real Doctor at all? I still think there's more to Nardal than what we're getting. There's a lot to his backstory that they're just starting to creep out. If you notice in the episodes, he'll talk about his past just a little bit at a time, and why was River so trusting of him? I'm usually a big fan of these two-part, three-part episodes because it gives the writers a chance to tell a decent story without rushing. But there's a difference between an episode that's a build-up and then the next episode is a resolution to that conflict, and an episode that's a build-up and then at the end say, oh, the majority of this wasn't even real. Stay tuned to next week for the real adventure. But we can really only fully look at this adventure once it's complete. And after this episode, we're about 1/3 of the way through. So in that regard, it was all right. There were some great moments in this episode. The Pope showing up on Bill's date, the acting between Capaldi and Gomez was fantastic, and the way that the story dealt with the Doctor's blindness was handled very well. But let's talk about the elephant in the vault. I mean Missy. Earlier in the video, I said that Missy is the one who is allegedly in the vault, the plot point that was spoiled for me by people on Twitter direct messaging me who was in the vault. And after watching the episode, yeah, it seems like Missy is the one that's in the vault, but I have my doubts. This is Moffat we're dealing with, and for his faults, he usually comes up with unpredictable twists, at least decent twists. Side note, I find it kind of funny how many people on my vault video were like, oh, I knew it was Missy! Nobody believed me, but I knew it from the beginning that it was Missy in the vault. Really? Nobody believed you? To me, Missy was the painfully obvious prisoner, followed closely by John Sim's master. I just didn't want it to be that predictable. And I've been told that it wouldn't be that predictable if we didn't know that Michelle Gomez and John Sim were coming back to the show. But we do. And that's the thing. Doctor Who has always been pretty good on keeping the lid on twists of future episodes, up until the point that the episode airs, like minutes after the episode airs. BBC YouTube, I'm looking at you. So if they didn't want to make Missy's return a big reveal and they wanted to keep it a surprise, why did they make it a big reveal? Why was she in the trailers at all? It's been pointed out in one of the season trailers that it looks like Missy might be laying on a piano. And what is one thing that we know that the prisoner in the vault has? A piano. And the person in the vault seems to enjoy stories about kids getting eaten by a house. That sounds like a Missy trait, eh? Maybe I was half upset because the reveal was spoiled for me and half upset because this is a reveal that I didn't want to happen. Missy being the prisoner in the vault was predictable weeks ago. It was way too obvious. We do know that the Doctor is pretty sure that Missy is the one inside the vault because he says, "They can't know I'm blind, Missy," as he's talking into the vault. What I'm hoping is that the Doctor believes that Missy is in the vault, but when the door opens, as it turns out, it's not Missy in the vault any longer. Maybe it's John Sims' master, maybe it's Delgado's master, maybe it's the first Doctor. It's probably not the first Doctor. All I know is that I'm still holding on hope that it's not Michelle Gomez who's in the vault when it's opened, because timey-wimey. But my big question, the one I want answered more than anything else from this episode, why didn't the TARDIS translate the Pope? In the comments down below, let me know what you thought of Extremis, if you thought it was sort of a waste of time, or do you think that the simulation thing is going to play out in future episodes somehow? As always, my name is Travis, thank you for listening to What I Have to Say, and you will see me tomorrow.